was during the summer of 1968 that my German mother and American father were crossing the Atlantic on the Italian ocean liner Aurelia. My parents were expecting their first child.
Because in the 1960s, ultrasound did not exist to look at whether or not there was one or two babies, and because doctors did not believe me when I explained that I felt kicking on both sides of my belly. Bob and I thought booking passage of this voyage 2 months before the due date was plenty of time before the birth.
On July 4th, there was a huge Independence Day dinner on the ship. The chef brought out a flaming dessert and everyone ate and celebrated in a big way that night. Hedwig didn't feel well in the evening, and the nurses told her she had indigestion and gave her 2 sleeping pills, when in fact her labor had started.
I was born at 6 a.m. the next morning. My mother had a difficult time making the ship's doctor understand that a second baby was on the way. Minutes after I was born, my brother Christopher entered the world. In addition to the Italian doctor and nurses, the crew that cared for us those first hours included our Italian airline attendant, a Catholic nun from Philadelphia, a beautician from Austria, an Australian physician, and a pediatric nurse from Minnesota.
Each of the twins weighed 3 pounds. On the ship was a small hospital. Nonetheless, it was not equipped to care for premature babies. Industrial oxygen tanks were brought into the room to help with the twins' breathing until we arrived in Southampton, which was 36 hours away.
When the ship docked in Southampton, the captain of the ship had everyone wait and let us get off first, carrying the twins. There was a crowd of people, including the press, waiting for our arrival in England. Our birth story made the press in the US, Germany, and England.
We were born to an American father, a German mother, on international waters and on an Italian ship. My parents chose US citizenship for us. Days after the arrival in Southampton, my father traveled to the American Embassy in London to apply for a passport for us to get into Germany.
The twins' birth certificate had latitude and longitude lines included. Their passports say "at sea" for the birthplace. This was the original passport photo. Chris and Anne spent the first 2 months of their lives in the Southampton General Hospital. I had 1 hour visitation rights per day. Things would be so different now.
We were delighted the day we got the invoice from the Southampton Hospital saying amount due, 0, a benefit of socialized medicine, 2 months of health care provided for premature babies and no cost to the parents.
It was an amazing time for my parents and our loved ones. Chris and I spent our first 6 years in Germany having a magical childhood. Later, our family grew by 2 with the birth of our sisters Susan and Erica. And this story is, of course, a big part of our family lore. We will always be grateful for everyone who were angels to us during those beginning months.